Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunshine and Soul, episode 2. If you watched the last episode, thank you very much. If you didn't, go back and watch it, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. I am Marianne Sunshine. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Today, we are talking about generational wealth in the Black community. How, apart from racism, because we know that hinders us, how do we build and grow and make sure that we leave a legacy for the future? Today, I have with me the YouTuber extraordinaire from Hyphenated History, Miss Jay.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. And I also have Mr. Paul Henriques, who is the founder of the Partner app.
How you doing?
Thank you for being here. First question, both of you. How are you, first of all?
I'm not bad. I'm glad to be here. I'm enjoying today. It's all nice and fresh, and I'm glad to be part of your podcast. So, yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, same. Glad to be part of your new podcast. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you well? Everyone good?
Yeah, we're good.
Jay, tell us a little bit about Hyphenated Histories. I've been on Jay's show, by the way. I had fun doing it as well. We was talking about the Windrush.
Yes. Yeah, that was lovely. That was a great episode. Yeah, Hyphenated History. So it came about because essentially I'm a history nerd, and also I don't feel like the way Black history is handled in the UK is particularly in depth, really. And sometimes I'm answering sort of hypothetical questions in my head. Sometimes I'm answering the question of what does that have to do with us right now? And the answer is a lot. And I center the British Empire, but then I also center other forms of imperialism and colonialism because they all intersect once you start digging into it. And basically try to bridge the gap between the present and the past, because especially in a country like the UK, history is constantly relevant. This place does not change that much. So, the other thing is I wanted it to be super accessible, because a lot of the really sort of cool, detailed stuff either happens in an academic space or it's behind some other kind of paywall. Like a lot of the sort of academic scholarship surrounding our lives is behind all of these sort of really expensive publishers, paywalls, where you have to pay £20 to see one paper kind of thing. And so with my special set of skills, I managed to find those papers and then put them in an accessible format.
Oh, brilliant.
i.e. YouTube videos.
Brilliant. And how long have you been doing YouTube now?
2 years this month.
How are you finding it?
It's all right, I'm on a little bit of a hiatus, but I should have something out in November.
Okay, brilliant. And well, everybody knows what Partner is. Everybody should know what Partner is by now, but yeah, Paul?
Yeah, so everyone should know what Partner is. And for those that don't, let me do a super quick explanation. Group of family, friends get together, decide to save a fixed amount each month, and one person in the group will get the proceeds of that fixed amount once you put it all together. Next month, everyone comes together again, save that fixed amount in a pot, and the next person in line gets the proceeds of that pot. It's managed by a single person, who we call the banker, typically a matriarch of the community, or someone who everyone trusts. And yeah, I mean, the reason why people do it is because, back in the day when Caribbean and African people came over to this country en masse in the late 40s, early 50s, etc., we couldn't get access to cheap finance, or any finance at all. And so we turned to the system that we used back home, which was Partner.
Partner.
It's got different names,
Partner.
different pronunciations.
I'm Jamaican. Well, you're Jamaican too. Partner. But the accent made it sound like partner.
Partner,
right?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, obviously my parents did Partner.
Yeah, so did mine.
Yeah,
Well, my mum.
Yeah, and a lot of our parents.
You as well, Jay?
My grandma, yeah.
Your grandma, yeah.
Yeah. And, I used to have to take the part of the money.
Take the part of the money and go drop it. Yeah.
The hand to the banker.
Yeah.
You know, every other Saturday or whenever it was.
And why did you do an app? Is it because just to continue it on?
A bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
Quickly, one, well, my interest is in tech. That's my kind of background is in tech, and also user experience design. That's my profession, and I wanted to combine my skills from what I'm interested in with something that was culturally important to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one. Two, people need partner. Yeah, especially in this day and age. Right? You know, people are turning to, you know, payday lenders, all those kind of things.
Yeah, because we still don't have access to decent funding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Things like that. And so I wanted to create an app that addresses all these issues and all these problems. At the same time, that was something culturally relevant to me.
Yeah.
And at the same time was, I've got an interest in tech anyway, and I just merged those all together. And so we built this partner app.
And it's been going since 2021?
Yeah, kind of soft launch, secretly launched, just kind of testing it out there. And we're still in a kind of a testing mode, but it's in the app stores, and people are downloading it, people are using it, which is really great. And what we're doing now is just getting feedback from users so we know what to change and what to kind of fix, how people are using it. Because whenever you build a product, especially a digital product, people never use it the way you expect them to. And so we're just finding that out. So it's an exciting journey, and there's a long way to go, but it's really good so far.
Great. Brilliant. Now, not moving on from that, actually staying in that space. Apart from racism, because we all know we have discrimination and racism has blocked us from funding and building wealth. But apart from that, what else is blocking us as a Black community from building wealth in this country? Because we have stats going around like nearly half of all Caribbean children live in poverty. There's only 2% of Black people are in the wealthiest in this country. And we've been here for a long time now. What is it, apart from the obvious, that stops us from building wealth unlike other communities? What do you think?
Right. I don't know if it's controversial.
The more controversial, the better.
But sometimes we're our own worst enemy when it comes to that. You know, we don't retain the Black pound within our community. Yeah, as soon as we get it, it
goes elsewhere.
Out of the community.
Yeah.
And so we're our own worst enemy in that sense. You know, it's like every other year, almost every year, there's a new drama where someone's getting disrespected in a Asian-owned hair shop, right? Or someone's trying to get into some white-owned club in the West End and then being disrespected at the door. And every time, you know, there's like, oh, here's a list of Black hair shops that we should go to. Or why are you going to this?
When we have our own places to go, but we do not frequent them as much as we're supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all that blows up. And then next year, there's another.
It's
someone
something
else
else.
is disrespected. And it's just a cycle. Why, you know, we need to really, you know, address that and fix up in that sense.
What do you think, Jay?
I agree. And I also think that we can be, well, I say can be, we are quite low trust. Like we're quite low trust community. So, and I'm not necessarily saying that other communities have better trust, because to be honest with you, they've got their own problems, they've got their own politics. But I think the way our communities are structured as well, where if you didn't start off with an extended family with a lot of connections, you have to let somebody be that crack, that way in. But do you trust that person, and do they trust you? And then there is, I think, impatience as well, because if you are coming at something from a place of urgency, where or need, where you need the money now, which is understandable, but then you don't have the patience to see whether it's going to work, and you don't have the patience to let it fail sometimes as well. Like business is also about failing and learning from those mistakes. And I think on the part of the people who try to set up those businesses, I think there is an element of giving up because of that failure. But then on the part of the rest of the community, there is a lack of support in letting that develop and letting it be sort of imperfect. and sort of investing as a group into those businesses so that they can flourish into something a little bit more well established. You know, I was just reading about this. Was it Dyke and Tyler? It was this business in Tottenham that was there for years.
What are they called?
I think it was Dyke and, let me look it up because I don't want to.
Is it hair?
Dyke and Dryden.
Yeah,
Dyke and
Dryden. The hair people. Yeah.
Yes, and they had like multi-floor on West Green Road in Tottenham.
I remember back in the day, man.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not around anymore. And it's they started off from that one hair shop, and then it expanded into a travel agents and a money lenders and all these other things. And they were also activists. They weren't just there keeping themselves to themselves. And I think that kind of spirit has died, where it's like everyone in the community was invested in that, but they were also invested back into the community.
With that company, it irritates me because it was so big, and like you said, they were activists as well, and they had so many things. And once the founders died, the company died.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm wondering, where's the family? Like, did nobody take it over? Like, what happened? Because it literally just died out.
Yeah.
Because they did have, I don't know if they had a monopoly, but they did have a stranglehold on the hair industry back then in like the 80s,
that should
right?
have been the catalyst.
It should have been.
Today, there should be multiple black-owned.
They did start something that we were
owners,
supposed to bounce off of that, and it just died out. And I would love to know the story behind that.
Exactly.
I think they sold to maybe like a US. I think, I'm not too sure. And
well, hopefully it was a black US person.
I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, just going piggybacking on what you said, I've got some stats here. For every £1 of white British wealth, Indian households hold 90 to 95 pence, Pakistani households hold 50 pence, black Caribbean households 20 pence, and black African have 10 pence. Now, why does this? I don't understand why this happens. Now, the Indian household stat is way higher than I thought it was, but then they own a lot of shops, the grocery shops and shops that serve their own community, and they own a lot of shops that serve our community as well. So,
and also it goes to what you were saying about trust, and letting people be or business be imperfect, right? You know, if there's a black business, it's a little bit janky. First of all, sometimes we just dismiss it.
That's why I don't shop from black people.
Yeah,
yes,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But if we just give them a chance,
everybody has to make a mistake. Everyone fails. You know I said that to somebody on Twitter. I said, when you go to Tesco's and they do something wrong, you don't go online and say it's white-owned businesses that are failing, Tory white-owned businesses that are failing. Exactly. You don't say that. So when it's a black-owned business, just name the business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't blame all of us.
Exactly.
Just name the business. And we have to get out of that narrative of blaming all of it. Because when other people do it to us, we don't like it.
No.
But we do it to ourselves as well.
We pathologize ourselves really quickly. And it's like, first of all, we're human beings. So whatever flaws you see in any other group of people, you're going to see it in black people. But don't, as you said, don't label it as a black thing unless it actually is a black thing, which I don't think most people know whether it is or not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And another thing that I just gets on my nerves is this black excellence tag that we seem to be able to put on ourselves. And for me, it seems to be rooted in white supremacist capitalism. I can't see any other way that they describe excellence. Right. And that, go on.
See, no, I'm just saying, whenever I think of black excellence, personally, I think of, when I see like young people achieving something, nothing to do with getting money. It's just that, they've worked at something, they've achieved it, they've excelled in that field, and the black excellence.
That's what it should be. Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like Diddy at a party.
First person I thought of.
Do you know what I mean?
Or Jay-Z and Beyonce.
First person I thought of. Yes. First person I thought of. And that's what seems to be the narrative, and that seems to be what everybody's chasing.
Yeah.
For some reason, everybody believes they can be a billionaire, and people don't understand that being a billionaire means people have to be in poverty.
Yes.
And that's our excellence is rooted in doing exactly what has been done to us to make money. And how do we get our community out of that mindset and into the mindset that you just said, where any one of us achieving right now should be an excellence.
Yeah. How to do it, I don't know. I guess it just takes us to when we do see the real excellence, just to highlight it on our platforms, when we have a platform.
When it's not only in October.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Exactly, yeah. And so, but, I guess it's it's a tough one because, like you say, all you do ever see is the bottles of whatever brand they're hawking, and it's not good.
It's not good. Jay, do you think the platforms that we have more media platforms now, do you think that they have some responsibility in pushing buying black owned and teaching how to generate black wealth in the black community?
I think it depends on the platform. I'm not trying to be shady, but there are some people who I don't think should touch this topic at all. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's like within reason, with depending on the platform. I do think it would be nice because the sort of, and there's been discourse about this online even recently about the sort of variety of content that's out there. And I think it's particularly coming out of Black Britain, right? And the fact that like it's so lifestyle heavy, which I'm not necessarily saying is a bad thing. I think lifestyle content is fine, but it's the lack of variety. But also on the subject of lifestyle content creators, it would be nice to see some of them maybe pushing black brands, but then equally, how much do those black brands offer them? Because everyone's aware of their value, and you don't want to undervalue yourself. So it's kind of striking that balance. You don't want to compare yourself to like a Pretty Little Thing who's going to have thousands and millions of a marketing budget. And so if they're taking a piss out of you, you can say, I'm worth more than that, versus a smaller brand who might not have as much to offer you, but they might have a really long relationship with you. And then next thing you know, maybe you can have a partnership with them or something like that. I think, is it 90s Baby Show that is often sponsored by Plant Made, for example? Yes. So like little things like that, I think go a long way. And I know Kelechi will plug people on her platform all the time in terms of books and stuff. Yeah. So I think it's small things like that. I would like to see that kind of habit establish itself among some of our sort of black UK platforms. Yeah. But I'm aware that they're also not the most stable either, given like the landscape, given the fact that they know they're being undercut, and then sometimes they get like blacklisted, or they just kind of fade away, or they have to sort of kowtow with the mainstream, and they have to keep talking about the same things over and over again. So it's complicated, I think.
Yeah. Is it? I don't know if it's complicated, because I remember I was watching a fashion YouTuber, and her aesthetic is called Black Girl Luxury, right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I'm watching and I'm like, you're saying black luxury, but none of these brands are black owned. So is it just luxury because you're black, basically? Right. And then she asked the question, somebody asked the question, I think I was watching a live, and somebody asked the question, can you tell us what black owned brands? And she said she doesn't feel like she has to do that. Should she have to do that? And then somebody else said, well, when you mention Gucci, we know it's a white-owned brand. Yeah. So if it is a black-owned brand and it's lesser known, why not tell us? And she was so conflicted, and I could not for the life of me understand why. Wow. But that is one of the reasons why we can't generate that wealth, because if we don't even know these people exist, but you do, why not tell us it's a black-owned brand?
I don't know, maybe, I'm not familiar with that creator, but... maybe in her mind, I don't know, maybe some people think black brands are not luxury, right?
Yeah, when you get the prices. when a jacket costs $2,000, it's luxury.
It's luxury,
yeah. Exactly.
But when you say Gucci, even though I don't really think these things are luxury, really, because they're probably what they cost to make and what they're selling is
two different things. Yeah.
But they've got the luxury brand locked down.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's probably what they're selling more than anything.
But I always say that black-owned brands, we always complain about the prices. So we always say that prices are too high. One of the reasons why those hair shops in Peckham have a monopoly is when there was a black-owned hair shop in Peckham, her prices had to be higher because of how much she was paying for the product. She was paying more than them, because the distributors are their own people.
Yeah, exactly.
So we always complain about the price. But then when we do raise our prices high, we can't get the label luxury. Do you see what I mean? It's how do we enter that space? We, as he said at the beginning, we're our own worst enemy, right? So how do we have to break through that barrier somehow?
Yeah, I think, there's also that kind of familiarity where maybe we don't think, I don't want to kind of psychoanalyze us, but
Go ahead.
maybe we kind of think that we are not luxury in that sense.
Inferiority complex.
Yes, that's the word I was struggling for. Yeah. Yeah, but maybe it's that, I don't know. I know there's a lot of brands in like Nigeria, for example, and they are kind of like quite luxury.
Yes, exactly.
UK-based brands, I don't know of any luxury, or I personally don't, and there probably are. You probably spend a lot of money on clothes. You probably know more. I don't know.
I know mid-priced, but the ones that are selling big money, I don't know. I wouldn't know of any of those. I know the mid-priced ones. I know all the hair brands and the skincare and that type of stuff, but big luxury names, I wouldn't have a clue.
There's Farai, London.
Farai.
Yeah.
Is that luxury? Oh, I know that one as well.
Yeah. They stock in Selfridges. I know that much.
There's actually another one coming. Mason Mube.
Okay.
Mason Mube.
I'll list these below, people.
They're launching next month.
Okay.
And I've seen some early shots of this stuff, and I know the designer, and completely looks black owned, right? And he's really good, and so look out for that.
Okay, we will look out for
Luxury
that.
Stuff.
To finish, actually, no, one more question. Do you think the way education affects Black people in this country has an effect on building that wealth? Jay's nodding her head.
Yeah, go on.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I think about this every day. I think about the fact that, for example, we're not far off from the education of subnormal policies, and that affected more or less an entire generation, give or take. It wouldn't have affected everybody, but it affected a generation's worth of people. Yep. And that was not long ago. So their kids are adults, but they're not very old adults. Do you know what I mean? If you're thinking about someone who was a child in the 60s, 70s, their kids are going to be 30s, 20s. And so I think where you've had people, both from the Caribbean and Africa, you could stereotype them as being very much about their books. And then you land in a country like the UK, where all of that is dialed back. And education is one of the most reliable ways of building some kind of foundation, like an economic foundation for yourself. And that's already been dragged from under you. And then for the people who came here with qualifications who were already adults, a lot of the time those qualifications were not recognized. Or they were delayed and they had to re-qualify. And then you know how people go off course and end up doing something else. It happened in my family, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, and this is something I'm even working on actively, so it's like fresh in my head, but where it's like, when you take it in like that, as much as we've been here in large numbers, obviously we've been here for ages, but we've been here in large numbers for 70-something years, but then when you break it down like that into the individual generations, it's not been for very long, and we're still catching up. It was only in 2005 that you were getting headlines saying Black girls are catching up with white kids in their GCSE attainment.
And they had a heart attack, remember?
And ever since, they've been making out like Black people are in competition with white kids for... It's like, but what about the decades before that? And that was them catching up to the disadvantage you placed on them.
Exactly.
And 2005 was not that long ago, she says, right? So it's one of those things where it's kind of like, when you break it down like that, I think education is huge. I think it's education on a general level of what kind of jobs can you get? What kind of access do you have? What kind of networks were you able to build? But then there's also education about even things like financial products and ways of finagling and all the rest of it. White people, we might stereotype them as not helping their families, but then they pay for their kids' wedding deposits. They pay for their kids' housing deposits if they can.
Yeah.
So whereas a lot of the time, you might not even think to do that for your child. It's not to say that sometimes people want to and think that it's a bad idea because they're looking around thinking, well, everybody else had to start from nothing, so I guess my kids should.
No, I hate that. I hate that. I really hate that. As soon as you're 18, get out. I hate that.
Exactly.
I really don't like that. We shouldn't do that. I find Black Americans do that a lot as well.
I think we've just collectively got this start from on hard mode, otherwise it's not valid. And nobody else nobody else goes on like that. Everybody else understands giving their kids official and unofficial legs up.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we as Black people can look at the system almost as like playing it straight, where we just look at it for what it is, and we don't necessarily always read between the lines.
Yeah.
So I think there's two different ways of looking at the education question. There's like the sort of more obvious of school and uni, but then there's also that side of, do you actually understand how the system around you works?
Exactly.
Do you understand the game that everyone around you is playing? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, financial education is key. You know, like I said, knowing how to finagle legally the system, you know, putting things in trust so you don't pay tax on when you pass things, and all that kind of stuff that we don't really know about. But then other communities are doing it for years, you know.
And we've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, and we're losing out. But it starts with first, you know, once you first get that, to have generational wealth, you have to have something to pass on, right? You know, but that starts with building something first of all, to then have something to pass on, but then to pass it on in a way that it stays within your community, within your family, and that's how you build generational wealth. So
it looks like we just, like, half of all Black Caribbean kids are in poverty. So there's no wealth. It's unlikely that 50%, we're only 1% of the population now, and Black Africans are 2.6% now. And it's very unlikely that those in poverty are going to jump out of poverty into any type of wealth. But just summing up the conversation, it seems like number one we have to do is just unite. And haven't we been saying that for decades and decades and decades?
Yeah.
We literally have to join together, pool our funds, use a partner.
Yep.
Use a partner, buy black owned, employ your own people, pay your own people proper wages, teach your own people.
Create your own platforms.
Own it.
Own it.
And then, and build from there. But this seems to me, maybe it's just my age, but that seems like obvious. That doesn't seem of your, like 20 years younger. Doesn't it seem, is that obvious to you?
It does. I think for me as well, it's about maybe being a bit imaginative as well. Because I feel like sometimes the things that we big up, it's based on what we see. And it's like sometimes the business is not going to be the most glamorous. Sometimes it's going to be functional. And it's going to be stable, and it's going to be needed. You know, we need everything.
We need everything.
You know?
Exactly.
That's the thing, always try to not just have a business, but it's always got to be a big flashy thing,
right? Exactly.
And, instead of
I want a Black-owned business, I can buy some toilet paper.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want a grocery shop that I can go and buy some toilet paper. I need a shop where I can buy some paint, some wallpaper. I can buy some scissors like a Woolworths. But we do the same things all the time. Yeah. And it's always a big flashy business. But I want a dry cleaners.
Yeah, exactly. A butcher's. It was a butcher's.
Isn't there one in Croydon?
There used to be one in Hackney as well, but it closed. It was only there for a little while. It was at the top of the Narrowway. And then it shut down. I
think my mum went there. Yeah, she did. Did it shut down? Why did it shut down so quickly?
I think it got hit by the lockdown, you know.
Oh, was it
opened around about then, and I think it just got hit by that.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
But I liked it. I was like, see, you know, butchers, something, you know, just these kinds of
general
things.
shops.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you can get general things.
We've got we don't have a long way to go. That's the thing. It seems like it, but I don't think we have a long way to go because we know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's just our generation, we can still do it. we're not too old. Your generation,
definitely,
and theirs, they can get it done.
Absolutely.
Right, guys, thank you for that conversation on generational wealth. Just to end off, this is Sunshine and Soul. So sunshine is happiness. So what makes you happy?
What makes me happy? My family, my son.
Shout out your son now.
Carlito, how you doing, boy? That's what makes me happy.
Spending time with my loved ones and good food and good music and good vibes.
And soul is what gives you peace.
What gives me peace? I was going to say my missus, but...
Oh.
How you doing, Yvonne?
You better stop there.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're thinking of anything else. Jay?
What gives me peace? That's a good question. I think just being somewhere beautiful and being somewhere quiet and where I can just admire. I like admiring beautiful things.
Not London then.
Not London, no. No. But yeah, just somewhere beautiful to look at, genuinely.
Oh, thank you. Guys, thank you for joining me. Guys, thanks for watching Sunshine and Soul episode 2. Like, share, subscribe. Where can we find you guys? Sorry, I always miss that bit.
So I'm Hyphenated History UK on YouTube.
Partner.com, PARDNA, and also in the app stores. Partner.
Twitter, Instagram.
Twitter, Partner. Just go there.
Let me double. Oh yeah, hyphenated J, Jay.
Did you have to check?
I did. I couldn't remember if there was an underscore in it or not. So but there's no underscore. It's just hyphenated J, all one word.
Okay, I'll put all that at the bottom of the screen, guys. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.